Hey guys, Chris here from eve.exchange, and today, as part of the Eve University series, I'm going to discuss option pricing. What is option pricing and how do you do it and how does it make you a better trader? We're going to talk about that in this very short lesson. I'm going to try to not bore you to death, okay? So options pricing is very unique because up until, let's say, 40, 50 years ago, it was not standardized, okay? So it meant everyone had their own pricing models and they would do whatever they want, and it made things a little bit complicated to trade, right? So what ended up happening was two guys in MIT, Black Scholes, made an equation, and that equation won a Nobel Prize, and it's used still today to price options with lots of different variations. So what I want to talk about is what are the core components of this equation, and then how can you use that to price options on Eve? Before I get into that, why does Eve have the options box for pricing blank? The reason for that is because we don't want to use a standardized price, because with Eve you can trade an option on any ERC20 token. You can write an option for any token that exists. So this model, like I was saying before, it's not like a one-size-fit-all pricing model. You could use it, but you should develop your own strategy for tokens that have insane volatility, for example. So we encourage everyone to know the basics, but then use those basics to formulate a model depending on the token that you are writing an option contract for. So let's just go through the basics, and then that will help you guys understand a bit more. And I'll put some links on different sources you can look to for getting a gauge on pricing. Because ultimately you want your price to be competitive, but also priced well enough so that you can make money and manage the risk of writing this particular options contract. So when we look at the standardized, more or less, pricing model, there are 5 core components to this model. The first one is price. So that's the price of the asset today, whatever that is. Let's say it's Ethereum, $1,500. The strike price is the price that you are selling the right to buy for, or the right to purchase for. Okay, so that's kind of like your price that's fixed inside the options contract. The volatility is the volatility of that particular instrument over a period of time. You can look at any chart and find a volatility index of whatever asset it is. And Bitcoin's been very much over the last few months low volatility, but historically it's very high. So you will look at different time frames to judge what you're going to use for volatility. Then of course time, which I always say is the most important aspect of options trading, because the longer you have, the more variations in price and the more chance or probability you'll have that things go your way. So that's very important. And then the last thing is the risk-free rate. And for those of you who don't know what the risk-free rate is, that's basically what T-bill is paying. So today that's quite high, that's 4.5%. So the risk-free rate actually makes the price of options higher, because what it does is it makes the end price worth less. So important to note that the risk-free rates are very high now, so options are quite high in comparison to what they used to be, and consider that when you're writing options in this particular climate. So more or less that's what's there, and ultimately when you do this whole equation here, I'm not going to do it because, to be honest, I could not work that out by hand, no chance. But if you decided you want to work it out using one of the simple little calculators I put in the link below, it will give you an indication of what you should charge for that options contract. So once you have that, you can then variate it how you wish to make it make sense for the trade that you're writing on Eve. Now, if we're in the traditional finance world or more standardized, centralized options trading, they would have automated pricing that they have. Like, they would have their own pricing model. We don't do that on Eve, like I said, because it's all OTC, and you can write an options contract for any type of parameter. You can write an options contract for 5 years. You can write one for 5 minutes. There's so many variables that you can do because it's purely OTC, peer-to-peer. So that's the difference with Eve from another type of exchange where you're incredibly limited to maybe just a few assets. Eve, you can make any token into a derivative, so it's quite cool. So hope that was informative for you guys. If you have any questions, just throw it in the comment below or hit us up on Telegram. And I will be making more videos, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and see you around. Hey guys, I realized I forgot to tell you how options pricing exactly works on Eve. Once you've loaded it in and you've calculated what you want to make the premium. Okay, so once you've done your research and you've determined this is what I want to charge for a premium, let's say in this case it's $1,000, then the only really variable is time once you're on Eve. So what our system does is until your option is actually purchased by someone, it just will go down day by day, $10. Okay, so in this case, you just take 1,000 divided by 100. If that's your total expiration period for your option, then it goes down $10 a day. So the next day, $10 less, $10 less, $10 less. Eventually, you might get to a point if no one bought your option that you might want to revise your pricing, cancel that contract, and start a new contract. So more or less, that's how we did it, just to keep it simple, because time is a very big factor in pricing options. And if this guy has only 90 days left, no one's going to pay $1,000. So this was a thing we did to try to automate the process slightly so that you don't have to go in every day and constantly change your premium price. But maybe it's a good idea to do so if you feel that you need to be more competitive. Have a good one.